You know, I just realized something, guys. This might be my last video that I make in this house before I move. I just realized that. That's crazy. Anyways, we covered pretty much every single mechanic in Street Fighter 6 except for Drive Rush and Drive Reversal. Or mostly we talk about Drive Rush because there's some new information we know now. And we'll talk about Drive Reversal for like a second. Most of the things you guys know about Drive Rush already is that it allows you to cancel special cancelable normal attacks into a dash, essentially, to extend our combos like FADC. This is going to be like the heart and soul of Street Fighter 6, like I said before. This is by far the most unexplored mechanic. We know the fewest about this mechanic, but it's going to be a really big part of Street Fighter 6 because we don't have training mode. There's a lot of... We don't know how much frame advantage this gives. We don't know what kind of combos this will extend if it will be worth it. And there's so many ways to use this. It's going to add a lot of ways to distinguish your character from somebody else's character if you're playing like a mirror match. Everyone will have their own different style with the Drive Rush. So this is one of the coolest mechanics in the game. And all you have to do is just dash. And like I said, it costs 3 bars if you cancel from a normal attack, which has to be special cancelable. So that means you can't do like sweep into Drive Rush. That'd be cheap. Or it costs 1 bar if you do it from a raw parry. But it's almost instantaneous, where you don't even realize it. It almost looks like you're going straight into Drive Rush from neutral. And also keep in mind that since you have to start it from parry, if you want to do it raw, it's going to cost half a bar for the parry, and then plus 1 bar for the Drive Rush itself. So it's like 1.5, technically. So I have prepared a bunch of clips for you guys to see so we can go over the knowledge that we know about this. So this is the most basic example that everybody knows. We see Guile do his high kick, and then he drive cancels forward, and then goes standing medium punch, crouching medium punch. So a lot of people concerned with the lack of links. This is going to be one of the main ways that we can extend our combos and even do bigger combos in Street Fighter V in some cases, because you'll notice that Guile still has the green effect around him as he does the dash forward medium punch. Let me slow this down. Yeah, so you dash forward, see the standing medium punch? You see how it's still green, that green ink effect when he does that? Well, it says when you look at the move list, when it explains Drive Rush in the move list for Street Fighter 6 menu, it says that the normal that you cancel, that you do the Drive Rush into, is amplified. We don't know specifically what it is, but it's obvious it gives you extra frame advantage at the very least. So you're going to be able to do combos you otherwise couldn't do. And this is really cool because we're going to have different B&Bs outside of Drive Rush. Different B&Bs with punish counters and different B&Bs using, you know, Drive Rush. There might be some really cool things, like if you get a counter hit with like, you know, a heavy punch Drive Rush, you might be able to go into another heavy punch and extend it. Since this costs 3 bars, that means you could do it twice, burn your whole meter and do this like really extended combo. And since the drive gauge is not shared with the supers, you can end with supers, you know? But most all this stuff you guys know already, you know, how this works. It's just like FADC for now. This is where it gets a little crazy. So, me and Mir noticed before that it wasn't exactly a dash the characters were doing. They were kind of doing like this run. But what I didn't know is that each character goes a different amount of distance. And Nurse Lee pointed this out on Twitter. So shoutouts to Nurse Lee. And you can see that since these characters run, that means a lot of things. Like one, for example, if your character needs to close the distance really quickly, you can do that. If your character, say like a character, like this makes a lot of sense because there's going to be certain characters that are really slow in this game, you know, like Zangief or Dalsum, for example. They might not have a good dash that allows them to extend their combos with Drive Rush. But if everyone has a kind of a universal run, then it makes sense. That's how they're going to continue their combos. Another thing this might be good for is like Oki. Let's say you knock your opponent down really far and you're outside of dash range. Well, maybe this Drive Rush, doing it raw like this, is going to allow you to get Oki where you otherwise wouldn't, because it's like a run. So this is really, really interesting on how this works. Another thing too is it closes the distance quickly, just using it for the run itself. And, you know, like, if an opponent throws a fireball at you, you parry it, well, it's only natural you'll cancel the parry into Drive Rush to close the gap and run forward, which is really cool. This would be sort of like a focus attack dash cancel. Instead of absorbing a hit and dashing, you parry a hit and rush in. Exactly. So the difference between a run And a dash is the fact that the run, you can cancel it. Like, what I mean is, if you're in mid-dash, the opponent can punish you. You're open. You can't control your character. But if you're running, in this case in Street Fighter 6, you can stop it at any time, which gives it a lot of freedom. So another thing too, this is really hard to see. This is where it gets really crazy. And Nursely once again pointed this out. This is really hard to notice unless you have the game really, really slow. But check this out for a second. Just look at this. So we see, these are the CPUs, by the way, high level play. We see Chun-Li literally whiff punish Luke using a raw parry into drive rush. She goes into crouching fierce and confirms from it, right? She even gets the punish counter. Now watch this when I slow it down. Check this out. This is crazy. Look at Luke. Look at Luke. Watch. He freezes. He freezes, dude. Like YRC Styles freezes. Chun-Li's still moving, but Luke freezes for a second. See? So this, when I first saw this, when Nursely pointed out, I'll be honest with you guys, I was worried. I was like, oh no, I don't like this. Because me and Mir were just having a discussion how I don't like a lot of the screen free stuff, because we might have like a V-trigger situation where there's like low risk, high reward, where people are fishing into this, you know? But it's the pause is so short, you can't even notice it unless, you know, you slowed it down to a crawl at 25%. And I mean, maybe if I was playing the game myself, I would notice it too. So this means a lot of things. One, the first obvious thing is that the opponent has to freeze, because that allows you to combo into things you otherwise couldn't combo. So that's why like Guile can go standing medium punch, crouching medium punch, because the opponent is frozen in hit stun for longer, and it just allows you to combo into more things. That's like the obvious part. What we're seeing here in this situation is it also helps you with whiff punishing, which is really cool. Because when you get your whiff punish, it's not just a sweep. It's like a full-on conversion that can be linked. So that's really crazy. And once again, it's 1.5 bars that you have to use, because you have to parry and drive rush. And Chun-Li gains a little bit of bar back because she lands a punish counter. Another thing too, it's possible you can use this for Oki. So remember how I said before, if you knock your opponent down far away, you can use the run to close the gap. Well, if it freezes the opponent, they're also going to be frozen on the ground, I'm assuming. So that can give you a confirm if they're quick rising, for example. Or it allows you to have higher frame advantage than a dash would, you know? Considering that parry starts up in 1 frame, it would be really fast and seamless. So this is what I mean when I say this is such an unexplored mechanic of the game. There's going to be a lot of players using this, and there's a lot we need to lab, man. A lot. Run under Akuma's air fireball. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things where you can do this and see something happening. If your opponent, right, jumps, you can sneak under them, or they're in the middle of doing an attack, right? You might be able to do an invincible move right through it. That kind of part kind of worries me though. Like I said, I don't like the idea of freezing the screen whenever you want to, like YRC Styles, and then like getting low risk, high reward like punishes. I'm not a fan of that. But like I said, the freeze is so small that when I put it to normal speed, you're not even gonna notice it unless I point it out. You know, it's so short. So we'll see like what kind of potential this gives us. I can't wait to lab this. This is really cool. How deep this system goes, you know? This one mechanic. It's just more than just FADC, you know? So in this next clip I want to show you guys, I just want to show you how you can cancel it as fast as you want. So Chun-Li does it, and you see, remember how far she goes when she runs? She immediately just stops and blocks. Alright, so there's not too much commitment. You can just use it to just run a little bit, get closer to your opponent, right? Especially if you knock them down, and you can just stop it. You can block. You're not overcommitting like a dash would be. So right here, same example. It's showing Chun-Li doing the drive rush, and she's literally able to tech the throw. She's obviously trying to throw Luke, but she ends up teching it. So once again, this shows us that during the run animation of the drive rush, you are free to move. You're like, you know, you're in neutral. Yeah, exactly. You can, if you're Zangief, you literally have access to a run into a command grab. That sounds scary, hey? So you combine those two together. You know, I mean, if Zangief has to go into like an OD command grab. It's going to cost quite a bit of meter. The parry, which is half a bar, into drive rush, which is 1 bar, into OD, which is 2 bars. You know, that's a high investment, but it is possible if you need to close a round, right? Or if you need to open the opponent up, especially if it causes like a vortex. That's a really good point. It is pretty nuts. So this is the high level stuff now. So we see, and these are the CPUs, so this is pretty crazy. We see Luke is buffering, fishing with drive rush. You see how he's whipping crouching medium punches? He's buffering drive rush. And he lands the confirm and he gets a combo from it. So this is going to allow any character to convert in neutral a full combo. Like, look, Luke is literally going into a standing heavy punch from this. From far away. From really far away. Yes, he does get the counter hit, but still, if this was a punish counter, like, who knows how plus he'd be. I know, the CPUs are insane in this game. Really big brain CPUs. But think about the potential from this, guys. What if this was a crouching medium kick, for example, you know? Or once again, like you pointed out, like, what if it's a grappler? I don't know, like, can you do this from a light? Like a light punch? How insane would that be? So there's going to be a lot of, like, buffering into this. You're buffering with forward, so it's a pretty easy buffer in general. If people are worried about this and that's all people are going to do, I mean, I definitely have to do how to stop buffer tutorial for sure, but short answer is you walk forward, block like you're playing a Cammy player and you try to bait this out. But it is impressive that the CPUs are actually buffering. Look at the damage. The damage is really good. I mean, don't forget, like, if you have super too, you can cash out. The neutral in this game is going to be really scary. There are so many things to be aware of now that we weren't in Street Fighter V. You know, we have to worry about the armored drive impact. There's parry, perfect parry. Now there's buffering the drive rush, so you gotta be alert on that. You know, if Jamie ended up blocking this, Luke is still going in. We don't even know if he's plus, if he's going in, right? What if Jamie was blocking? Luke's gonna start his pressure right from there, just because he stuck a button up. You know, there's a lot about this part alone. Just do the focus attack drive if someone's fishing with normal. It's going to be a big brain game. Well, see, that's the thing. If, say, Jamie's like, okay, he's buffering, crouching medium punch at the drive rush. If Jamie does drive impact, Luke can literally cancel his drive rush into his drive impact and win. Drive impact's got a lot of weaknesses as well because it's only a one-hitting armor attack that's very slow, super slow startup. But, I mean, that's something we definitely need to experiment, for sure. Like, for example, what if Jamie parried this? What if he parried this, Luke ran forward and threw him? You know, that'd be a punish counter throw. That'd be big deeps. There might be some rushdown characters with really good pokes, so maybe a big part of their play would be drive rushing from those pokes. Yeah, absolutely. You know, imagine a character like Cammy. You know, like, assuming her heavy punch is super fast, she would go heavy punch, drive rush, heavy punch. And don't forget, this hit that Luke is landing, where he's landing that heavy punch is enhanced. He gets more frame advantage from that. So Cammy could probably go heavy punch, drive rush, heavy punch into something, you know? We're gonna have to see. Maybe Capcom will change this and tone it down a bit, because I feel like when really good players get a hang of this mechanic, it's gonna be wild. Okay, there is a lot to explain in this sequence here. So we see Jamie do a raw drive rush into overhead. And since the overhead is enhanced, he can continue the combo from an overhead. So this is wild. So check this out. Drive rush, overhead. Since the overhead is enhanced, he combos after it. And then he activates his install. He continues the combo after his install and does a second drive rush. So we have 2 drive rushes and 1 combo. Crouching light kick, right? Drive rush, boom, converts. Look at all that meter spent. There's a lot going on here. So that begs the question on like a lot of characters, you know. Will Ryu be able to, for example, cancel his button, drive rush, and go for an overhead reset? Going for overhead like meaty for Oki? It makes overheads like extra dangerous. Now, of course, you know, it's not like the overheads are super fast. I mean, your character is literally glowing green. It's like very blatant if you're looking for it. But it just gives you another option to rush your opponent down and open them up. It's very interesting. We have to see like exactly how it enhances the button that you land the drive rush with. We need to know if it's just, you know, the same as a counter hit, or maybe it's on a specific move-by-move basis. But seeing the Guile standing medium punch and the crouching medium punch, that kind of tells me, hey, it's on everything. From the looks of this game, might have spicier combos than Street Fighter 5. That's what I keep telling people, man. I keep trying to explain, like, the drive rush is where it's all at. This is where it gets crazy. Because if the normal B&Bs were already crazy to begin with, the drive rush would be broken. You know, we would have like 30-second combos going on in this game. But I really like the idea of showing multiple drive rush uses in one combo. So yeah, there's still a lot of questions about this mechanic that we don't know. I want to know, what is the drive rush on block? You know, what if you go into drive rush, they block the enhanced hit? Are you going to be more plus on block? Because that will add a whole other layer to the game as well. You know, you'll have crazier frame traps and pressure. That'd be really dangerous. But even if it's just more frame advantage on hit, I mean, we see the potential of that right here. I want to know as well, like, how good is it going to be for countering zoning, parrying a fireball. Let's say someone does like low forward fireball and they're really spaced apart, there's a big gap. You can parry it, drive rush in between it, and punish the opponent. You know, if we're doing something like that, if there's a gap. There's a lot of questions here. Or if someone's using a really slow normal, you know, like a birdie heavy punch, you parry it, drive rush forward, and punish, or you can throw them. There's a lot of potential here on just using the drive rush in neutral, in nooch, you know. And how plus are you on punish counter? If you did a drive rush on punish counter, I can't even imagine, since we know there's just like buttons that just do insane amount of hit stun from it. And yeah, you're using a lot of drive gauge to cancel your normals, but you have to understand how punishing and dangerous the corner is in this game. Look at the amount of corner carry Jamie is getting here. You know, it might be worth it to close the round. Not to mention the punish counter drains the opponent's meter as well. What if a Ryu did like a block screen on you, and then he canceled the drive rush on block, goes for an overhead reset, because we know you can cancel the drive rush immediately into anything, gets the overhead reset, converts a combo from there, and then goes into another drive rush, and then cashes out with super. You know, that'll be really sick. It'll add a lot of, I'm sorry to say it, expression. Sorry, guys. And it'll be cool. There's a lot of stuff to lab out. Even if the combos seem shorter than Street Fighter 5, they're a lot more interesting when you have the creative freedom, you know? I think that's crouching medium kick with super. That would make more sense, because crouching light kick would be insane. But, I mean, if you get a crouching light rock from, like, a counter hit, you know, or a punish counter, maybe you can convert it. You know what I'm saying? Looking like the best part of the game. Yeah, like I said, I think this is the heart and soul of the game. I think everyone is too focused on the parry and drive impact, but this is the mechanic we need to keep our eye on. Okay, one last thing I want to show you guys, the drive reversal. I know it's rare when you see it, but I just want to show you guys three things, I guess. One, as we know, you can cancel your parry straight into drive reversal. We see when Chun-Li does it, Ryu is losing gray health. So we know two things in this game that give you gray health is when you absorb an attack from drive impact and when you get hit by a drive reversal. We see it causes a lot of pushback. V reversal, I know it's kind of a meme in Street Fighter 5 because of the throw loops and all that, but I think drive reversal is also going to be a very powerful mechanic in this game because, well, one, when you land your drive reversal on the opponent, you get some of your drive gauge back. You look at Chun-Li's drive gauge. When she lands the hit, she gains some of her bar back. So you get rewarded when you land it. And two, you know, in Street Fighter 5, you have to make the decision of doing a V reversal and basically getting your V trigger later in the round or not at all if you do like multiple V reversals. So there's some sacrifice to it, right, that you have to make. But in Street Fighter 6, it's not that big of a sacrifice because this is not tied to your super. You know, you're still going to keep your super when you do this. Yes, you lose your drive gauge, but I think the way it is right now, drive reversal seems really strong. You know, there's certain attacks that no matter what, you're going to get a guaranteed drive reversal. Why not do it? You're pushing your opponent to the corner, you know? It costs a small amount, especially since you get your bar back and you keep your super. So yeah, I think this is another kind of underestimated how powerful this mechanic would be in this game right now.